Welcome to North Beach First Friday. And thank you for coming to the poetry reading. Thank you to Macchiarini Creative Design for hosting the event, and to my friend Colin for recording it for Alcatraz Radio all this whole time for the past couple years. And of course, thanks to David Zise for doing such an excellent job with the sound every month. We have a great lineup tonight, and I'm going to open up with a poem called A World Without Walls. The smell of fresh-cut lawns in moist, sneezy New Jersey suburbs makes me think of people without homes, reminds me of dusty hay and deep cow manure on farm-lined roads in Skaneateles, which reminds me of the fossil fuels used to raise cattle for barbecued steaks and gas for all the cars in traffic jams on the turnpike. But the earthy smell of just raked autumn leaves with me, the coming snow, which reminds me of scents from other negative ion emitters, the sappy pines and the salty ocean, which smells like it sounds, and reminds me of refugees on the run, drowning at sea, trying to flee. In a world without walls, this wouldn't be this ubiquitous response to anomie everywhere. Bring the walls down, brick by inch by row. We gotta get there, make the garden grow. Don't let the sun go down on us. In a world without walls, girls wouldn't be raped in Africa because some men think it'll cure their AIDS. Children wouldn't be bombed and maimed and killed in Damascus. They'd be at school learning the abacus and calculus. Kids wouldn't be sex trafficked in Hamtramck. They'd be home making ceramics. In a world without walls, climate change wouldn't be fake news. Maria and Katrina might have stayed home. And what about the sapphire sun from the flames, even in San Francisco? The rancid, thick stench of burning cars, chemicals, scorched bodies in paradise, all the people who couldn't get out, which isn't pleasure. Here comes the sun. Where is the sun? We gotta get there. Paradise now. Next, please welcome Phil Lumsden.
Thanks, everybody. A couple different ones. First one called Flag. Steering blind, bald pate, loud tie, flag lapel pins, crusty eyes in dusty, weak coffee, pesticide searing nose cavities, motel soap and microwave bacon, hollowed caverns of faces, reflect stained glass munitions and victories with eagles and cannons and silhouetted soldiers, suits and clean t-shirts, wine-stained teeth. Don't stumble, walk tall, every eye on missing family, broken, sprinkled, cross-country, heroes tavern, top-down crumpets and chaplains and honor and absence and lost logs with wide eyes, all eyes cast down in shame, or pictures of wishing what wasn't, what happened, what branch or battalion or final post, final commander with collars or yarmulkes, a harpoon wake-up, phone alarm, wrinkled shirt, typographical errors. This wasn't what I pictured. Slick hands, slim smiles, quick paragraphs of 87 years dot the landscape, provoke attention order deficit, soothing, smoothing, truthing, tied up packages, drop in the box, collect coins and paraphrase a lifetime. To one misty girl, roped to the finish line, wired and wishing and wanting and waiting and wiping and wishing for nothing but water and night skies, water and dry wine, water and order, simple, uncalculated order, where numbers made sense and kisses were returned and Silence was not the thing to be feared, but honored and welcomed outside this white box of Eisenhower's prediction, buttoned in row and row of regimented ruin. All right. Now I want to thank you. And I was told to change this title, but it was only titled that because that's when I wrote it. And I just found it again today. I had forgotten I'd written this entirely, and I was just tickled pink. So it's called Tax Time. I'm a taproot, flexing knuckled fingers. I'm forgetting assignments. I'm poured nightly into coffins and formaldehyde tuxedos. I'm a little scavy today. I stopped caring for Lent. I stopped shopping at the falafel market because the lotto line is too long. I left my heart on Green Street. I enter the avian mind at will on every occasion and entreat my friends to do the same. I am watching your every move. I woke up this morning with the earth in my shoulder, grass in my ear. I demand to know your badge number. When did green change from strokes of Colorado wind to sprigs on black Frisco twigs? I'm a king bee, flat fee. Look at me, all at sea. Yeah, try this one. It's called Pogo Pony. I unpacked panic from shoeboxes. Closet doors have slid off their tracks. Rake leaves into separate piles, run through them with a stick. I should have learned a system, a ratio of coffee grounds to lost love, broken words to spun honey. I break heads off kitchen matches, line them in a curve on my thigh, light one end, blow out the match. And one more. A mess of comforts. So here I am in a body. I always feel responsible. Can't seem to get it clean enough to help or innocent. This time, there is fear to count on. Throw the dice, take the ride. Light picks out dust in the air, the rust of blood crusting its banks. All over town, church bells ring. Everyone is invited to scream. Thank you, everybody.
Once again, Phil Lumsden. And our next poet is someone that I actually haven't seen in several years, since before the shelter in place, probably a while before the shelter in place, so it's nice to have him here. Please welcome Garrett Murphy.
Walking tightrope. This walk is quite familiar to us, though not in the usual way. We have to keep watch of each step, walking on eggshells, just waiting to crack. Below could well be as shards of glass. Below could well be as the points of nails. The most visible ends could resemble spores or the harsh ends of violent thistles. All we know is that the rope must be tread with extreme caution, or else we could be quite through. It comes to our mind that we've likely experienced it before, only then we were safe in the arena, awed yet fearful and hoping for the success of the performer. Now, audience, performers, and participants are as one. We are all on the tightrope, with still a long way to go before we reached the other side. Failure in Tennessee. The Tennessee trolls, they act like they're fit for tuxedos. They tried to silence dissent, but of course they failed to succeed-o. And though they're destined to fail, they'll try and try and try and try, but with all the help they can muster up, will never, 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 never come close to ceasing the truth. Hiding places, Uvalde, Texas. Students and teachers in an elementary school hide unsuccessfully from a gunman while a lawman, ordinarily ready to charge gung-ho in, decide to wait things out for a change. Not to mention looking the other way prior when concerns were raised about same gunmen's behavior. Popularly, they're too busy looking for a hiding place. The parents and loved ones beg for them to do something while shots ring out and the victims call for help. And when some of them try to intervene, then the lawmen unleash their inner Rambo on them. The Texas Public Safety Director put it thus: the officers had weapons. The children had none. The officers had body armor. The children had none. The officers had training. The subject had none. Weapons, armor, and training make good to hide behind. 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 9 seconds later, law enforcement finally moved in. But of course, 21 by then were dead. 19 students and 2 teachers. Police climb up. DA hushes up. Dodges questions and refuses to elaborate, using her job for a hiding place. District Police Chief cum council member does a disappearing act, devising his own hiding place. Claims no info can be released until investigation is complete. Families wait and wait and wait. Got roughed up when they tried to save their kin, then harassed and profiled afterwards by the very police, and are told to hush up, suck up, move on. Tomorrow is another day, as if those usual lines are remote comfort for clans with internally spare seats at the tables. One cannot help but wonder whether the pseudo-authorities would have been so hesitant to act preemptively or act more quickly when the incident was occurring, or the DA and other would-be leaders of the Uvalde jurisdiction would be acting so opaquely had the 21 dead befit the Ganejan definition of being from the Caucasus. And last piece is called With Apologies to Dill Weed, Dill Spice, Dill Pickles, and All Other Dills. So, the Great Scott Adams, poor beleaguered privileged man, has revealed his reliance on the default panic button used by paranoid privileged folks towards those seeking demanding a touch of said privilege. Get away from black people, that terrible hate group that he will not help, that are taking his hard-earned jobs, his inherent influence, his place at the head of the table. They're not content to just accept and enjoy their secondary, second-rate, second-class status. A warning to dear Dave, you may think you're his proof, but surprise, surprise, Grace Scott still hates you. Scott, you always were rather soulless, but now we know just how much. So you won't help any more blacks? What on earth made you think that blacks ever needed or wanted your help? Blacks don't need second-class minds or second-rate conmen scared of losing their societal rank. Your patented projector's been turned back on you. So beam yourself up, Scotty. The hook snags your act in the rump. Just don't let Dilbert Sloan's discarded tie curls slap you on the way up. You've only proved yourself to be your most quintessential individual. In other words, Scott, you've just been distilled. And thanks very much.
Once again, Garrett Murphy. And next, I would like to welcome Judith on Bernhard.
Woo. Thanks for coming out. Thanks to Jessica and to Dan. Well, I understood that the theme tonight was America, the United States, and summer. And since all of my poems about the United States are rather on the down, I couldn't really find anything. And summer, yeah, well, Byron and I live in the outer Richmond. There's no summer there. So I'm going to read you a few about the life and making of a poet. The poet sends a message in a bottle. The bottle itself is a message. Its chipped and crazed glass, a familiar shape. Coca-Cola made sweet with brown sugar from Mexico, a fad of the leisure class. The paper in the bottle is from a mill in Kentucky, last stop on the road to ruin for fledgling meth heads, scourge of the rural poor. The pencil used to write the message is from China, mysterious home of inscrutable workers. suppliers of goods to the world. If you receive this message, the poet writes, be kind to another human on this frail and aging planet. And don't forget to send the bottle out again. The poet visits a sick friend. The friend is dying. A small woman all her life, now she is bony and shriveled. Bundled in a puffy blue jacket, a hand-knitted cap on her head, yet she is surprisingly cheerful. I'm existing on memories now, she says. I'm living in the past. She tells the poet the names of her great-great-grandparents and the origins of their names and the known facts of their lives. What happened to her children when they were in high school. She recounts the histories of her neighbors and laughs about their feuds. She describes the creek behind her house, what it looked like when the salmon ran, where she found the best wild blackberries. The poet holds her friend's hand and nods her head at each new revelation. She knows she is listening to the epic poem of a woman who is quickly dying, because the past is where poetry lives too. Somebody hands the poet a poem, made flesh from having been committed to paper. Its author lingers on with a hopeful look. So the poet stops and reads the proffered work. She says, the first line is provocative. Its author smiles. The flood of memories could drown the poet, of workshops where poems were torn apart. The famous poet who belittled work to get a laugh. The poet remembers what the ancient Greeks believed. The poet's job is to praise. She says, this is interesting. You should keep writing. She returns the poem to its author, and he moves on. And then she, too, moves on, satisfied to have done her job. Now I'm wondering, I kind of brought this poem because I'm in love with it. I'm wondering if anyone remembers this guy. This is called Stanton Street. This is for Rod McEwen. They had a poet on TV. Imagine that, a poet on TV. I was 12 years old and I fell in love. I liked his raspy voice and earnest delivery. No one told me he wasn't any good. I thought it would be a fine thing to be a poet, to wear a V-neck sweater and tennis shoes. I thought I'd like to talk to Johnny Carson on TV. Mother bought me a copy of the poet's book. I shed adolescent tears all over the pages. I begged her to take me to see Stanton Street. We drove up and down it over and over. What are you looking for? She asked. I was only a 12-year-old poet in the making, but I knew enough to be searching for the other sorrows. And finally, to honor Neely, this is a poem that I wrote for an event that Neely put on, a bicentennial celebration of Walt Whitman's birth. And it's also in mourning for the loss of the American dream. I'm sure you'll recognize the rhythm. Oh, country, my country, our peaceful days are done. The ship of state has gone aground. The prize will not be won. No port is near, no bells I hear. The people all are crying. What steady hands could steer this ship, a vessel broke and failing? But oh, heart, 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 oh, the crumbled wreck now bled, where in the mud a country lies, fallen cold and dead. Oh, country, my country, rise up and hear our plea. Rise up, for you the truth is flung, for you the word is free. For you the world had counted on, for you the shores are crowding, for you they call the working class, their eager faces turning. Hear, country, dear homeland, the voice inside your head. It is some dream that in the mud you've fallen cold and dead. My country does not answer. Its lips are wan and still. The people so enriched by greed have now no pulse nor will. The ship of state is on the rocks. Its voyage is nearly done. From fearful trip, the fascist ship comes in with object one. Oh, ring the bells, oh, rabble roar, but I, with mournful tread, will tell the fate of country gone, fallen, cold, and dead.
Thank you, Judith Ann Bernhardt. And next, please welcome Neely Tchaikovsky.
Oh, Mr. Elliot. Respectable Mr. Elliot is the least of our worries. We have other concerns like getting through each night, remembering friends who've died, wondering if the world really ends when people say it does. What if we entered another dimension and are allowed to remain pretty much as we had been at age 7? Imagine dressing like grandma for a Halloween. If the mastodon reappeared on peat moss, would we not engineer a perfect kill? Mr. Elliot wore bowler hats. He had a walking stick. His Jews were kept at a distance. He is reserved and fastidious. He dines at the club with his partners, scrub men, grim and tone deaf to any ragamuffin who wishes to disturb order and decorum. One might suggest dreaming of tidal pools and bathyspheres. What would it be like swimming in a grave many fathoms deep? One day it's April 21st, and another day there are Christmas ornaments. One afternoon, a man strolls in the eucalyptus grove to find himself standing cliffside, overlooking an alien tide. Worlds enter words. Grammar reflects fear and foreboding. Make a sentence stand on its own. Pay close attention. Forget the diagram. Stack letters on your palm. Mr. Elliot thumbers through the newspaper. Every so often, he reads misplaced sentiments or identifies loss of nerve. Politeness is a virtue. Decay sets in. Every man is an island. The old boy penned important essays. Man, he says, is often little more than a disease. What would it be like to arm wrestle Dante Alighieri on a summer's night in those years of bitter exile? How do you visit a sane man in an insane country and keep your collar straight? Mr. Pound awaits you in room XYZ. Do not expect more from Tom than you are willing to give yourself. Poetry is a song in shadows of the leopard's physical self. Feline physiology claims every line, drawing symmetrical reason against fearless signs. Never. Oh, Mr. Elliot, we are sure to come across you on the Chelsea embankment in those gaunt hours when men rolled the dice and Western civilization was saved. That was after reading probably the 100th reading of 4 quartets. And thinking about, Judy mentioned Whitman. There's a book that came out a couple of years ago. I probably shouldn't mention it because I find it so odious. It's called Mowing Leaves of Grass. It's just such an easy target. You know, it's standing out there for somebody to pick up, because what we do is we punish ourselves enough. We're dying as it is, but we're murdering the past for not being as sophisticated and as good and as wonderful and as modern as we are. Yahweh. I don't want to waste your life frying hamburgers for an eternal lunch. I'd rather make a barbecue on one of the distant stars and invite space aliens to take their choice of rib or ribeye. I could make a burning bush and part the Red Sea and give Job a shellacking. My name is Yahweh, and this is my self-portrait. I have a big white beard and beautiful tan skin. I'm multi-ethnic and cannot offend myself. If you think me ridiculous, just look in the mirror. I take everything personally, especially the stool of alfalfa on both sides of the highway from Milan to Parma. You killed me, but I didn't die. You denied me, but I came back. You shut the window. I came in through the door. God is dead, you said, but then rotted like an old tomato on a kitchen shelf. I own a personal collection of stars and star systems and planes and black holes. I see what I do not see. I am what I am not. If I am not God, what am I? If I'm dead, what is light like on the top of a rusted nail at the juncture of good and evil? What brutal falsehood glitters like a diamond? Some of the gems so valuable they are given names and placed under glass. You will see me in that light, the sparkle, the glow. We disappear with our heads hoarded with diamonds in the portrait gallery called existence. I got one more, but here's the last. This is just. I love this. Is the last line of a long poem that I'll read on the 16th of July with Scott Bird and Jessica and Art Beck at Bird and Beckett, and I'm calling it my 78th birthday reading, although my birthday was on the 1st, but the last lines are, I am younger than any old man has the right to be. And that's how I feel. Because I'm frustrating my friends, and my sister said, how are you feeling? I said, very simple, my cup runneth over. Right out of the Psalms, and nothing around it. You know, I just feel. Scott Bird said to me, "You like being an old man," and he was right. I'm not super enthusiastic, but I mean, it's This is the last poem. You have no alternative. If you go further, there is no telling what you will find. You hope for simple retelling of childhood stories. Fox, bear, porcupine. If only life were so simple. Your grandmother's ghost back in step. Ancient water trowel liberated from clutches of crude time. What if you poured molten lava into a mold fashioned in a song to follow daybreak and make fallow ground fertile again? What has a poet to do with anything other than self-conscious treks across concrete? What happens when nobody listens? Each of us knows something of the bitter root and of the interconnectedness, routing all life into a single ball of dust. I don't know if anyone knows anything substantial. Light, darkness, right now, night falls deeply and men sleep and language trickles into a pond. Thank you.
And once again, Neely Tchaikovsky. And we're going to close out the evening with some music, some very poetic music, I would say, by Peter Whitehead. Please welcome Peter Whitehead.
Can you hear the guitar? Can you hear the guitar on the mic? Okay. Okay, I won't say anything about this song. Otherwise, I'll give it away. Billy was tall. He started out small. He had it all. Or so he recalled. Out in the fields, picking flowers as he ran, counting the dandelion seeds in his hand, and then one by one, by one, by one, he blew them away. He blew them away. Childhood was done. Her birthday had come. Father says, son, I got you a gun. Out in the backwoods, one of the boys felt so grown up, so much better than toys, and so one by one, by one, by one, he threw them away. He threw them away. Later that life, he married a wife. Didn't go well. All went to hell. Out in the backyard, gun in his hand, finished the six-pack, lined up the cans and then one by one, by one, by one, he blew them away. He blew them away. He blew them away. Trouble at work. His feelings were hurt. Boss said you're fired. He couldn't get hired. Went to the basement, filled up the trunk, drove into work, said you know why I've come, and then one by one by one by he blew them away. He blew them away. He blew them away. Yes, Billy was tall. He started out small. Guess what that was about? This is about COVID, rapidly going out of date. Here today, it feels like yesterday again. Friday or Saturday again. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Did I hear the bell? Or was that just the sound of someone screaming? Or maybe just the voice inside my head? Go to bed now. We will count the dead in the morning. Satellites fly by so high tonight. Timelines and traffic lights that seem to change. But things remain the same. And was that just the smell of someone cleaning? Or maybe just a voice inside my head. And time that slowly passed seems now to be speeding. I'm alright, although you say tonight, did you turn out the light? And what was that? You tried to ask. It's hard to hear your voice behind the mask. And was that just the sound of someone dreaming? Or maybe just a voice inside my head? I'm okay. Were you awake, or were you dreaming? Thank you.
Once again, that was Peter Whitehead. And that concludes the poetry for this particular First Friday evening. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. But before you leave, if you haven't already done so, check out the artwork in the gallery by Emma Macchiarini. A lot of it is commemorating the history of the design shop here. And please join us up at Coy Tower to celebrate the work of Agneta Falk at 9 p.m. And I would really, really dig it if I could get some help taking the chairs back downstairs as usual. That would be great.